Welcome to the Mrs. Turner podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Turner, and today we will be discussing going without sex and what it has done in my marriage. So, starting off, my husband and I are in a recovery process individually. I'm in a spouse's recovery group, and he is in an addiction recovery group for a pornography addiction. And I do have his permission to share as needed for the benefit of helping other people with the same situation. So we have walked through a sexual abstinence period. It's recommended for addicts to go through a 90-day sexual abstinence period, and this is to reset the neurochemical balance in the brain to correct false core beliefs like sex is the most important need. It's good to have other boundaries in place. We did different things like no Facebook or Instagram. I cut out YouTube and just limiting contact with different situations that could cause arousal or could be a trigger. It is possible to experience withdrawal, and I believe both of us did experience that to a certain extent. It's very common to have emotional reactions, physiological symptoms. In marriage, it's important to remember that sexual addiction is an intimacy disorder. So taking a break from marital sex gives you the chance to start over in your marriage relationship and learn to be present mentally, emotionally, and spiritually before you add sexual intimacy. It's very common for spouses to either welcome a period of sexual abstinence or to fear abstinence. That is the category that I fell into. They worry that their sexually addicted partner will continue to act out if sex isn't present in the relationship. A married couple should only attempt abstinence if they also have a plan for working on their relationship in other ways. It's recommended that couples be in marriage counseling to go through an abstinence period. My husband and I are both very well supported in our own support groups, so we did not see this as a necessary step, especially seeing as how we were both on board for improving our marriage relationship. There was no resistance from one side or the other on whether or not this is something that we should do for our marriage. Obviously, there were different emotions at play on whether we wanted to or not. But we ultimately decided to go forward with it because we believed it to be the best situation for our marriage, the best stepping stone. Issues of pain, betrayal, and mistrust will be paramount. Often, other long-standing relationship problems will surface as well, such as finances, parenting, household roles, etc. A wise couple will take their time and address each issue before considering a return to sexual activity, which can mask problems or create a false sense of resolution. So, we have a long-standing issue with codependency and the understanding that if the other person is okay, then I am also okay. So this has been a really good experience for me to break that down and just understand that I can communicate with my words and ask how he's feeling, and he can ask me how I'm feeling. And it's been just a really beneficial experience for us. So I thought I would break it down by months and kind of go through some of what happened. A lot of our experience in it in the first month was very difficult. There were, on my side, feelings of being unwanted and unloved, a hunger for sexual intimacy, very lustful type attitude about my husband. So I also experienced loneliness and frustration without scrolling or social media. I did go through a detox on social media at the same time, which was difficult, but it really pulled out the issues that needed to be addressed so I could work on them. There was withdrawal, and we worked on building a good communication foundation. So we did daily check-ins, and the check-in style that we used is called FANOS. It stands for feelings, affirm, need, own, and sobriety. So you share with your spouse those 5 areas, and you're just getting in touch with your spouse every day. It helps you to practice saying something that you need out loud. It helps you to thank them in the affirmation portion. You're owning up to things that you've done wrong. You're sharing whether or not you're sober of your specific areas. So that check-in alone, adding that in, has been incredibly beneficial, but especially during the abstinence period, because we didn't use sex as a barometer to know whether or not our relationship was in good shape. It's very important to verbally communicate that. We also did weekly dates, and those were no phone dates where we had to get creative, and we have very young children, so we don't have the ability to go out every week. We don't have the financial capacity for that, so we are being creative with home dates, and once a week we switch off. I'll do one week, he'll do the next week, and back and forth just through the entire abstinence period. And we have had occasion with that to learn that we really do enjoy each other. He's a really great guy, and we really enjoy being together. So I was very pleased with that development. It gave us a lot of opportunity for conversation. It gave us time to just enjoy each other without all of the busyness of life that surrounds us. So that was in the first month. The second month, we continued to do FANOS and dates. We learned to enjoy each other. We added further restrictions to keep temptation down, sitting further apart in the evenings, moving hands away from no zones, asking for permission for touch, and just being really intentional about, is this okay? Are you going to be triggered if I do this? So again, communication being brought to the forefront. We had a major drop in codependent behavior. Verbal communication took its place, and the need for comfort was met with conversation and prayer. I began looking at abstinence, as a way to redo our dating period with purity instead of lust. So it's almost like courting. We're dating once a week. We are not being physically intimate or doing things to intentionally cause the other to fall into temptation. So it was a really good test of whether or not we were capable of restraining ourselves and redoing the dating period. In month 3, we were still doing FANOS and dates. We did that the entire time. It was part of our contract. That's another thing. There is a contract involved, and you get an accountability couple who signs on to just to be your support and to pray with you through the process. And we did have an accountability couple. They're in an incredibly busy season, so our check-ins were less frequent than we anticipated, but when it mattered, we were able to check in and just touch base, let them know where we were and that we were actively still pursuing the abstinence. So back on topic, month 3, we began counting the days down with anticipation, and that was interesting. The shift went from hunger or lust to an anticipation and a joy at the thought of being able to come together again. Enjoying the little time that we have together during the very full month. Further restrictions with kissing to not cause arousal, so the entire time we would find something else, like sitting next to each other on the couch became too much of an issue for me, so I had to sit further away. We couldn't kiss like we normally would. We had to restrict it and make it less intimate of a situation so that the other was not tempted. Filling our time with beneficial things like house projects, canning, intentional conversations. We experienced showing more grace for each other. There was reflection on personal growth, and then afterward, more reflection. Sex went from I need you to I desire you, and that was a really big shift. It goes from a codependent type relationship into a husband and wife, like a lover's relationship is what it came to, and that was really a beautiful shift. More gratefulness. I feel sober. We were able to weed out the emotional crutches and worked on them through the reflective listening exercise, which I intend to do a different video about, so stay tuned for that, please. And we've reached a point where we are just so comfortable together. Things are really good with the way that we're able to communicate. The shifts that I have found in myself and some that I've seen in my husband have been really an incredible thing to witness. And I do believe this is a very difficult task, but I think it was incredibly beneficial for us as a means of laying a foundation of good communication in our marriage and prioritizing each other as people, not as a sex object. So, no objectifying, because you're not allowed to during the abstinence period. And that's been just a really interesting shift, and I'm really pleased with it. So, this is all based on the Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 7:5. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent, for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. So, I believe it's important to understand that you can be happy in your marriage without a sexual relationship. And I'm happy to be done with it. But at the same time, I am very pleased for the growth and the recovery and just the joy that has come from getting a chance to relearn who my husband is and to learn, in some senses, for the first time, the kind of personality that he has because of these weekly dates. It's intentional time. So, very cool. We are intending to continue FANOS and the weekly dates, and that's my update.